Welcome to another night of the KDL. I am Wolf, joined by State. We have tonight a winner's match for our team leagues and a loser's match for solos. How are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling excited, man. The lineup is so sick today. We've got one of the most storied matches of all time here in the KDL, with the Freaks going up against Liiv SANDBOX. And then the solos, we have quite a few surprising names, despite the fact that it's a loser's match, because we had somebody finish match number 1 of the round of 16 with 3 tracks. So it's going to be a really exciting day.
It really is. And the storied matchup you are referring to, of course, is going to be the first matchup we have today. The winner's match between, as it has been, KWANGDONGFREECS and Liiv SANDBOX. So our two best pro teams here ever since preseason will collide one more time. And you can see exactly how we got to this point. You can see at the top left, upper bracket finals, that's today. The wild card match did happen on the 18th. So Mirai and Sejong crushed Desperado there to face against Rocks. That's going to be our lower bracket semifinals. The loser of today will go to the lower bracket finals on the 29th. The winner goes directly to the finals on the 9th.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised, Wolf, if much like KDL Preseason 1 and Preseason 2, this upper bracket finals between the Freaks and Liiv SANDBOX is a preview of the grand finals on December 9th, because as time has proven, once again, it's always these two teams that are coming up on top. They're the strongest pro teams they have been for a while. There were a number of fans that were suspecting that Mirai and Sejong might actually rise up and challenge the ranks of KWANGDONGFREECS and Liiv SANDBOX for that upper bracket finals, but as it is, it's telling the same story that it did in KDL Preseason 1, Preseason 2. I know that those are kind of off the record in terms of not counting towards the official stats, but this story has been building up, and who knows, maybe the 100,000 or 100 million Korean won prize will once again go to the KWANGDONGFREECS.
And on that note, I would say today is the most important match besides the finals. The second most important match, of course, will be that 29th match to see if whoever loses today can regain that opportunity for the rematch, or if we'll see a team like Mirai and Sejong upset Rocks, of course, one of the big dark horses. But here's the breakdown of that prize pool you were just talking about. The champions will take 100 million won, the runner-up 40, and then it kind of tiers down from there. We do, of course, have an MVP prize as well.
Oh, wow. KWANGDONGFREECS massively favored in the fan vote, by the way, almost 80% to 20. And that doesn't surprise me too much, as KWANGDONGFREECS have won almost every single encounter these two teams have had since KDL Preseason 1 kicked off earlier this year. I believe Liiv SANDBOX might have only won an individual series, just one series, and I think it was phase 2 of like the KDL Preseason 2 finals or something like that. Every other time they've gotten eliminated, so it's pretty crazy that the Freaks are back here again. 80% to 20%, I absolutely do expect them to take it. Whereas here we have World at 23%. Now, Hojin almost hit 60 to take the losers match in our solos.
And it's a rare circumstance where you have our Gold Racer Will at the second lowest share of the fan vote, despite being the highest seed. But we'll talk a little bit more about why Will is the Gold Racer when we get into the solo matches later on this evening. But not a shocker to me to see Hojun holding that near 60. World, obviously a fantastic racer as well, who a lot of people are surprised is here in the first place. But we'll see if maybe World could get the back-to-back-to-back as well. I think of these racers, he and Hojun definitely the most likely candidates to actually have that. So, you know, big matches today, as mentioned. We talk a lot about the losers matches and how, okay, you have one more chance, you're going to the losers match, but today 4 of these racers are just going to be completely eliminated from the tournament.
Yeah, 4 are going home and 4 are going to find their way in the grand finals for the solos. And as we were talking about earlier, it's kind of a surprise that we have players like Byung-Soo and World here in the losers match, and that all goes back to Cool winning 3 tracks in a row in a round of 16 match 1. They didn't really have the chance to prove themselves in 3 tracks. It's pretty challenging to put up enough points to actually hang with everybody that consistently. So really kind of a topsy-turvy ride getting here for the solos. I think it's going to be a very exciting match overall.
Yeah, and before we do jump into those matches, of course, we are going to have picks and bans for our winners match between KWANGDONGFREECS and Liiv SANDBOX. And what's really exciting about this, of course, is both of these teams are very high win rate teams. They're our top 2 teams, right? So when you look at the stats for each individual track, sometimes it's hard to know specifically whether a team is weaker on a track or stronger on a track, because both of these teams are going to have incredibly high win rates. But what the coaches have done to kind of figure out where they think those weak points are is what we're going to learn as we go into this, because this is a very unique part of Kartrider Drift League, is we actually do have picks and bans for these tracks. So we're going to start it off with Liiv SANDBOX first pick.
Yeah, Liiv SANDBOX coming on the first pick here in speed. We'll see what their selection is going to be. I have to say, coming into this draft, Wolf, speed I feel like is probably the most even between these two teams. As Terracotta Twister, the round one choice coming in. Kind of a surprising pickup. KWANGDONGFREECS undefeated on that track so far this season, 4-0 overall in record. Liiv SANDBOX only 2-3.
Yeah, one of their worst, not worst, but one of their worst tracks is we will see that second pick come through, even win rate between the two of them. And then we're going to see Village Bayside Bridge Run get to be the first ban here. It's an interesting choice. Winding Slopes, pretty unforgiving track, so KWANGDONGFREECS feeling very comfortable picking that one up, thinking that they're definitely going to be the winners in speed mode here, and they do have the undefeated record so far in this mode for this season.
The coach is deciding what the ban is going to be here for Liiv SANDBOX, and it's going to be Village Boom Hill Tunnel, which comes to me as a little bit of a surprise. I know that Neil personally is quite prominent as a player on a track like that one, so Liiv SANDBOX maybe coming in with a little bit of a different game plan here as they choose World Tour Miami Drive. Now that's not something I necessarily expected, but the stats certainly do back up the argument to draft it here. Bit more of a field track, a little bit more wide. Liiv SANDBOX 4-1 so far this season, barely edging out KDF on the record.
Yeah, Miami Drive coming through and looking like Desert Construction Chaos will be the fourth track here. So some really surprising picks, but this is what we were talking about before that I was alluding to, is even if you have a strong win rate on a track, you may think that your opponent's weaker on it, or maybe you've practiced it so much in the days leading up to this that you feel like you can actually trick your opponent and say, oh, okay, we're going to pick this one, they're not expecting it. As Handy Harbor will be the final ban here. Very unforgiving track. We talk about this a lot, not surprised to see it banned.
Yeah, I am a little bit surprised that all three Village tracks got banned out pretty much immediately here, as Glacier Extreme Stadium is going to be the choice for track number 5 coming in from Liiv SANDBOX. Again, another map that really does favor the LSB team. They're 4-1 overall in this one. The Freaks, they've only played it twice, but that 1-1 record kind of shying behind LSB, as Shanghai Circuit will be the choice coming in. And again, not too much to go off on this one. Liiv SANDBOX, I feel like this is more of an anti-pick. It's Liiv SANDBOX, they haven't won on this track yet. Let's try and make them feel a little bit uncomfortable, whereas the Freaks, yeah, you don't have the best record, but at least you're putting LSB in kind of an awkward position. Yeah,
this final pick will come through as Brazil, a track that KWANGDONGFREECS have technically a worse win rate on, but obviously have a lot more experience on 4 tracks to the 1 here. Liiv SANDBOX feeling comfortable here. I think it's a track that really screams Neil's play style to me. Is really, I think the main reason why that one does end up coming through. Neil very good on tracks where he has a lot of different paths he can take, a lot of different wide open spaces, and Brazil is going to lend itself towards that. But if I look at this and I think who won the draft, you know, per se, like we often say in other esports, it's hard to really determine that. But I massively favor KWANGDONG going into speed mode. Their starts have been fantastic this season. They have been the better team. They're 7-0 on this particular mode. And I do think KWANGDONG are weaker in item mode than Liiv SANDBOX right now. That's my personal take. I do think this match goes to ace if they win speed. But on that note, they need to win speed in my mind. So I want to see a dominant performance here from KWANGDONG.
Yeah, KWANGDONGFREECS absolutely does need to win in speed mode. One of those issues that you run into sometimes if you run a 4-player roster is that you don't have anyone that can just completely dedicate themselves to item mode, and that's kind of been KDF's game plan from the very beginning. They haven't shuffled their roster around at all. They have no item specialist, and so for them to avoid an ace match, they need to at least win in speed, because Liiv SANDBOX coming now into the item draft have been looking so good.
So Graveyard Cemetery Circuit will be the first pick here for KWANGDONG. They have item priority. You can see they're a much stronger team on this track. Liiv SANDBOX have struggled there. And you'll notice a lot of these records for KWANGDONG are going to be much weaker than Liiv SANDBOX's overall. But if that ends up not lining up here for these picks, that means that KWANGDONG did a great job here with their bans. Liiv SANDBOX here 3-1 to the 1-2. As Seaplane Base will get taken off the board.
I'm really quite surprised by that pick, considering I think that KWANGDONGFREECS has some better tracks, such as Misty Falls, available for them here in item mode. One of the things we were talking about before the show even started, Wolf, is that it feels like Liiv SANDBOX, generally speaking, has better records on more tracks than KDF. You know,
Yeah.
LSB not quite spread as thin in item mode, whereas Kwangdong Freaks, they're very good on a handful of tracks, such as Graveyard Cemetery Circuit, but not quite solid on others, as the next choice is going to come in. Actually, Gondola Tour, really surprising pick for me. KDF, they haven't won yet on this. They've only played it once, but at the same time, they haven't really been able to, I shouldn't say been able to, they haven't revealed their hand or their strategies on that track too much because they've only played it once. So
I definitely expect that this fourth ban here for Kwangdong should definitely be London. I would say. Yeah, I think Kwangdong should ban London here because you're dealing with Jimin, you're dealing with Dalda, two players who are fantastic on that track. I think you do not want to give this one to Liiv SANDBOX. It's one that, you know, we've seen so many times Liiv SANDBOX, especially in preseason, do very well on. That would be my expectation here, but they're giving it a lot of thought. It's actually going to be Clock Tower Crossing, which is a similar style of track, but very different in how it plays out. And it's one that teams very much stay away from. So not surprised to see that ban. I would have liked London Knight. We'll see if Liiv SANDBOX is going to pick it up for their final pick.
yeah, on the Liiv SANDBOX side, I'm pretty happy that they were able to ban Forest Misty Falls. I think that absolutely is going in their favor. That's one of Kwangdong Freaks' best tracks here in item mode, is World Tour London Knight is going to come through here for the
Kwangdong
fifth pick.
picking it up. Wow, yeah.
Yeah, it is surprising. But hey, LSB, they haven't really been able to adapt to that track on the current meta. It's a little bit more tempo focused. It's harder to set up those big combination plays. And so, although they had a lot of success in preseason 1, preseason 2, here in the regular season, they're going World Tour London Knight is, I love the 6th track coming in. No one has won on it. Kwangdong Freaks 0-3, Liiv SANDBOX 0-1 as we're kind of getting down into the bottom of the barrel here.
Yeah. Final pick to come through here for Kwangdong. So what item priority is going to give you? You get 4 of the tracks. You get the first pick as well that they cannot ban. And we're going to Polar Half Pipe. Going to Polar Half Pipe if we go to 7 tracks here. So happy to see that neither of these teams have actually won on this track, but it's much less popular than it was in our preseasons.
Yeah, neither team has won on either track 6 or track 7. Force Mushroom Caves of Glacier, Polar Halfpipe. So kind of a funny way this one went there at the end in terms of the map picks, but you know, it's a long draft. It's a best of 7, not a best of 5. So it's not always going to be the best. Sometimes you just have to kind of choose to mitigate damage, but really an interesting choice.
Yeah, it certainly ends up being one that I don't like as much for Kwangdong Freaks, especially the London Knight pick. That one is the one that kind of sticks out to me as one that isn't really the style of Kwangdong. Kwangdong have played more of that tempo-based style or getting one racer ahead and then trying to push for it because they don't have an item ace, right? The item ace is usually the person who's really good at having those timing-based pushes that London Knight is so known for. So, yeah, you banned Clock Tower Crossing, but then you chose London Knight, which would have come out, I suppose, either way, very likely. So, you know, it's not like you're picking it away from Liiv SANDBOX. They're going to race on it either way. If you don't pick it, they will. So, interesting draft overall. I really think this solidifies my opinion that I think Kwangdong need to win speed mode. I think they need to have a dominant run through speed. If there are any questions there, maybe the upset happens. Maybe we do see Liiv SANDBOX take this one.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you here as we look at the main stage match results coming into this one. Kwangdong Freaks over the course of the round robin stage, 6-1 overall with a couple of ace matches versus Desperado, Midi, and Sejong Rocks Esports all going to ace. They won 2 out of those 3 sets, whereas Liiv SANDBOX, no aces just yet. They either win 2-0 or they lose 2-0. It's been very lopsided for them.
Yeah, and obviously the most important of these lineups is the win that Kwangdong Freaks did have over Liiv SANDBOX. And notice that this is really interesting, this stat, because they're 6-0 plus including the preseasons here. Kwangdong Freaks basically just always having Liiv SANDBOX's number here.
Yeah, Liiv SANDBOX has not won a single full series against the Kwangdong Freaks ever in the KDL this year. It's been absolutely wild from preseason 1 all the way now into the regular season. Freaks are 6-0. The best Liiv SANDBOX ever did was, I think, in phase 2 of preseason 2. They were able to win one of the phases, which is kind of like winning a series.
Yeah.
But not really, because they still lost the grand finals, right? So
yeah,
Kwangdong Freaks absolutely have had Liiv SANDBOX's number, despite these being our 2 best pro teams time and time again here in the KDL.
And that's even with the Insu roster as well for Liiv SANDBOX back at the beginning in preseason 1. Now, these stats it's 7-0. We talked about this many times. They have not lost yet in speed in the regular season. They had the perfect season, right? They went 7-0 in speed, but if you look at the numbers here, notice that it's actually a lot closer than it may appear. A lot of these going the distance, 3-2, 3-1, 3-2, 3-1, 3-1. Only beating always one of our weaker teams here in the regular season, 3-0, and then taking that narrow win again in an ace match over Rocks Esports. So despite the dominance and that 0, you know, it's definitely a heavy 0. Like, there's definitely some asterisks around that one, but still, 7-0 means they have been dominant. They haven't dropped a single stage of speed here. So, again, that's, I think, the strength that KWANGDONG have. They have some of the best, most fantastic sweeping in the league. Their starts are fantastic. They need to put their focus on this part of this race tonight.
Yeah, on the Liiv SANDBOX side of things, I'm really thinking that Neil is going to need to step up for them if they want to come through big here, because overall, we're looking at Sungbin right now at rank 1 overall, and if you're confused about 2.93, that's his average place in all speed mode races.
Every
he's
single one.
A little bit better than 3rd place on every individual track, which is massively impressive. World actually the 2nd place finisher there for KWANGDONGFREECS, 4th overall among all speed racers, is still a bit ahead of the best Liiv SANDBOX racer, which of all people is Jimin this season, which is, I don't think anything, it's not something that I expected certainly coming in. It's not something I think a lot of fans expected. So for KDF, they might feel a little bit top heavy, especially with Sungbin having such a fantastic performance over the course of this regular season. LSB, I feel like, you know, Neil and Hyungsu really need to pick it up.
Yeah, I'm going to have to hard agree. And then if we do go to an ace match, you always have to consider how many times we've seen Liiv SANDBOX choke those away in really important matches when we get to the playoffs. Here are the ace matches, speaking of which, this is every single team's ace match record. So this is not like KWANGDONGFREECS versus Rocks, etc. This is every single team. Those said, every team has had at least one ace match, with always actually having that 1-0, that surprising ace they were able to take against MSJ. Liiv SANDBOX has played 0 this season. They have played no ace matches. So they've either won 2-0 or been 2-0'd. So tonight, I feel like it's going to an ace match. I feel like it's going to be their first ace match of the season, because my money's on them taking item, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'm fully expecting this one to go to an ace match. I think that Liiv SANDBOX, just based on the track draft, I would be surprised if they lost in item mode. I give them maybe like 70-30 odds in item mode if I had to put a number on it. But the Freaks have just been so solid in speed that I feel like it's inevitable. We're finally going to go to an ace between these two teams here in the regular season. And for the Freaks, they haven't been spotless in ace matches. Their one loss thus far this season has been in an ace. So I'm curious when we go down to the wire how it's actually going to line up.
And if we take a look at our key racers here, these are the leaders in the fan race MVP. Spear has just had so many amazing performances. Obviously, Spear's plays end up being some of the flashiest we see, where he'll boost off a jump and sweep that way, knock somebody into a wall. He will very aggressively block for his front runners. Often World, of course, is up there with him, and you have that 3v1 scenario that KWANGDONGFREECS is so known for, where their start is fantastic. Only one enemy racer is there. Spear's in the thick of things. Hyunsu, on the other hand, he's got these fan votes against some of our weaker teams here in the KDL. I mean, yes, these two share always, but it's Finale and Desperado versus Liiv SANDBOX and Nutmite here for Spear. So arguably a more impressive triple here for Spear, I would say.
Yeah, but I do agree that Hyunsu is going to be a key racer here for Liiv SANDBOX, because overall in the standings, only 13th. There's a lot of players that are ahead of Hyunsu, and certainly coming into this regular season, I had higher expectations for, one of the best sweepers in the game, as well as Neil, the runner, who coming in 20th overall, averaging nearly 5th place in speed, has really been having kind of a shaky go of things when it comes to team speed mode. So Hyunsu and Neil, I'm looking to both of them from Liiv SANDBOX to try and come through in the clutch.
They really need to. I think Liiv SANDBOX are definitely underdogs today, and in preseason 1, we knew that was going to be the case, right? In preseason 2, we were like, okay, this is definitely a little bit more intense, and now it seems like we have a very clear favorite. And you look at the team, this is each team's prediction, and they're on the same page as me. They think KWANGDONG will take it in ace. That's my prediction as well. Rock's the only team who says KWANGDONG takes it 2-0, and nobody's on Liiv SANDBOX's side.
Yeah, not a single team is expecting Liiv SANDBOX to win this one, but who knows, man? If it does go to an ace, as 5 of the 6 teams predicted, there is a good chance that Liiv SANDBOX can walk away with it. Historically, they've been a little bit shaky in the aces, and I am concerned that they didn't have any ace matches thus far in the regular season, but I don't know, man. You put somebody like Neil out there, I feel like anything can happen.
Anything could happen, good or bad. We have seen Neil absolutely carry in an ace match and be, you know, insane and do some line that no one's ever seen before to clutch it out. But we've also seen Neil try to do something insane and miss the mark. And, you know, these are the questions that we are going to have going into today if it does go to the ace match, as almost everyone has predicted it will. So time will tell. But we are going to take a break, guys, before we start these matches. So stay tuned. We'll be back in about, looking at this, about 15 minutes or so, and we'll start the races then.
mouth, better add your respect. Otherwise, pressure gon' be at your neck when I burn you like. This ain't a game, my aim is the throne. I'm much higher than you, like a rocket, a drone. I'm powerful, think of a stone. Throw it off in my brain and I'm back to the bone.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the KDL Team League Winners Finals. If you missed us for the pre-show, I'm Wolf, he's State. Most of you guys were probably here for that. We talked a lot about some of the win conditions for these two teams, but now we're getting down to the brass tacks. It's time to start these races.
Yeah, I couldn't be more excited, man. This very well could be a preview of the grand finals for the first official season of the KDL. It's going to be 2 best-of-7s, 1 in speed, 1 in item mode, and I'm feeling an ace match today, so there's a lot to look forward to. Players getting ready on stage here in a moment, and I got to say, before we go in, who are you expecting to actually take this one at the end of the day?
I think it's going to be KWANGDONGFREECS who take it in an ace match. My prediction is basically the same as all the other teams, minus Rocks.
Minus Rocks? Yeah. On men out. I'm with you. I think it's going to go to an ace, but I don't know, man. I feel like if we have 1 or 2 players on Liiv SANDBOX that are really feeling it today, maybe Neil, we could see Liiv SANDBOX finally taking a set off of KDF for what, like 7-0?
Yeah.
6-0, 7-0 or something in series versus Liiv SANDBOX all the way from preseason 1 now into the regular season. I would love to see Liiv SANDBOX finally break that curse, get that monkey off their back heading into the grand finals.
Well, you know, we were having that storyline in preseason, as we will go ahead and welcome these teams now, about KWANGDONGFREECS. Speaking of, they're going to walk out here now, never having their time in Kart Rider League, but now in Kart Rider Drift League, they had their time in preseasons, but it wasn't official. Now they can put their mark in Kart Rider as champions in the Kart Rider Drift League officially, and to win tonight would put them directly in that grand finals. They would skip that match potentially against Mirai and Sejong, for example, in the lower bracket finals. So this is massive for them. It's a 4-player roster. They do not have an item ace, and it's just 4 racers who are good at everything, and they're hoping to do it again.
Yeah, just a team of all-arounders, hard to beat, but Liiv SANDBOX is going to try their best to stop them here in the winners bracket finals, the upper bracket. Liiv SANDBOX, a team that had to restructure over the course of the preseasons, now here in the regular seasons. Man, Neil looking a little bit scary coming out of the gate. Seems he is ready to play.
He's ready, heated. Dalda replacing G-Min this season as the item ace, or actually preseason 2 he did, but this is the first official season. Only saw G-Min as item ace in preseason 1, and now that's the edge I think that Liiv SANDBOX have. They have an item ace, and almost 2, you could argue here. And KWANGDONGFREECS, their weakness has been item mode. That's why a lot of their races went the distance. That's why they have way more ace matches. We're moving into speed first, but we're going to take a closer look at these teams, some of their stats as we move into this, because KWANGDONGFREECS, they are the best team that we have seen in Kart Rider Drift League, bar none. No one has really come close. Look at some of these average speed ranks. Again, Sungbin first in the league, sub-3. That is insane.
Yeah, sub-3. World right behind him there in 4th place, average rank just above 3rd rank. And that's really because the win condition for the Freaks coming in throughout the entire season has been the 1-2 finish. So often do we see these top 2 players leading the pack and delivering the win as they say, please, 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 let both Angel and Thunderbolt come to come to us, of course, KDF, talking about the item mode there. I think they kind of feel the same stress that you and I do here, that maybe they're going to win speed, but once we go to item mode where it feels like Liiv SANDBOX not only won the draft, but is just the more well-rounded and deeper team in item, it's going to be a big point of contention.
The Invincible Fleet on a win streak. They did streak towards the end, and they're looking for revenge here. And you can see some of the comparisons here in speed, the average ranks here. I mean, look at Neil sitting at 4.68, a player who has fallen quite substantially since the days of Preseason 1 and Cartwriter League, still one of our most popular players. We meet again. Let's have another spectacular match. They have met in so many critical ones, the finals, the winners matches. They are the rivals. They're always battling for first place in regular season. It's KWANGDONG who's come out on top this time around, and they are definitely clear favorites today. As we did have the draft earlier, we can kind of refresh here. Terracotta Twister is the first track. Liiv SANDBOX did have speed priority, actually, because KWANGDONGFREECS tried to take item into their own hands.
Yeah, and then following there, we will go to Mine Winding Slopes, World Tour Miami Drive, and Desert Construction Chaos. Those maps are guaranteed because this is a best of 7. And should it go beyond then, Liiv SANDBOX has 2 of the last 3 picks. Glacier Extreme Stadium, WKC Shanghai Circuit, and Brazil Circuit. So quite a few field tracks actually here in the selection overall. Liiv SANDBOX tending to prioritize those generally coming into this one. And I feel like Liiv SANDBOX having the draft priority here, getting able to pick first and thus being able to pick 4 out of the 7 tracks, is going to be a little bit dangerous for KWANGDONGFREECS, because although it's very unlikely, should a Liiv SANDBOX win here in speed mode, the pressure is absolutely going to be on the Freaks. Keep in mind, Liiv SANDBOX, they haven't played an ace match yet this regular season. They've either won 2-0 or they've lost 2-0. So they're going to see if they can get the momentum going here as we kick off the upper bracket finals. Liiv SANDBOX versus the Freaks. Let's go to Terracotta Twister.
KWANGDONGFREECS take on Liiv SANDBOX again here in the winners finals of our first official KDL season. The winner is going straight to the grand finals. Sungbin already in pole position.
We're talking about him as a key player here for KWANGDONGFREECS, and he is looking to fight, but Jimin off to a great start as well. And actually, it's Liiv SANDBOX playing a little bit of 3v1 right now. Byungsu doing a great job of fighting off World. Byungsu trying to close the distance as well to, adding one more arm into this race. And Liiv SANDBOX really in a commanding spot as we enter the first tomb section.
Yeah, the first tomb section. This is where accidents do happen in Cartwriter. And I mean, I'm sorry to Jimin for the caster curse, but this is so common here in tightly knit midfields like the one we just saw. He's out now, and now the 1-2 that they have is really their last hope. It's Neil and Hyunsu who are going to have to hold on to this, and it is just so tough. They're outnumbered. We're still on our first lap. Yeah,
Byungsu and Jimin so far behind right now. As you see Byungsu on the leaderboard trying to pass Spear and Cool to join the ranks, but right now the real story is whether Neil and Hyunsu are going to be able to hold on to this right now. You see Byungsu has been able to get close enough. Cool now trying to block him out on these turns. Also having some collisions there with Hyunsu, so KDF almost holding on to positions 2, 3, and 4. Their midfield is immaculate.
Yeah, it is just so rough here for Liiv SANDBOX with Jimin's mistake earlier. Really, I mean, it was a sweep, and Neil's the only one up here. They just don't have a prayer, to be honest, state here, because they just can't get anyone to that second position. There are 3 sweepers who are holding those winning positions at the moment here. Sungbin holding 4th right now, just keeping Byungsu at bay. Look at that Nitro right there. He will be passed nonetheless. But this is still a numbers game. I think that KWANGDONG should be able to win. It's getting closer, though.
Liiv SANDBOX, they are fighting back. It's important that Neil holds on to this first place position. I do not think he's going to give it up here to World, so we have to watch the mid-ranks and see if this is going to come through. If Liiv SANDBOX can't convert the 1-4-5, it's a win, and indeed it is. So Liiv SANDBOX drawing first blood here in speed mode, leading the best of 7 now 1-0.
On their track selection, and Sungbin went for that Nitro. I really liked the idea with that one to try to cut across that corner there while also sweeping, but he ended up losing control in that moment. He needed to maintain that, or they needed to pass Neil. One of those two things had to happen in order for KWANGDONGFREECS to take it. Despite Jimin dropping back, Sungbin actually with that mistake will finish 8th place. In fact, here, those are some additional points going over to Liiv SANDBOX. Pretty dramatic start to our series here. It looked like KWANGDONG had a complete control over this one, but Liiv SANDBOX tenaciously take it through in the end.
Yeah, the lower ranks falling apart there a little bit for KDF in the opening track. Spear as well there in the tomb section was going for a greedy line, trying to get some extra sweeping in, but was not able to convert it into meaningful damage. So we're gonna go to track number 2, Mine Winding Slopes. Liiv SANDBOX leading this series 1-0. Liiv SANDBOX with the best start they could possibly hope for and almost a come-behind victory in track number 1. Up again to a great start with Neil and Jimin leading the pack, trying to pass Sungbin.
Yeah, we saw this exact same formation last time around too, with Sungbin being the only KWANGDONGFREECS player from the start of the race. And I mean, Neil and Byung-Soo are really holding their own here. This is a very tough track, very tight, so getting one too early is so important because it's very narrow. There's very few opportunities to pass unless Neil or Byung-Soo make a mistake. You can try to draft your way through, but it's not always going to work. Now, Cool taking a very tight line will do just that. This is one of those opportunistic moments you have to pass here. Neil holds his own.
Yeah, we'll see later on if Cool goes for one of those spin turns to try to pass Neil. Oh, Neil actually clips the inner wall. I'm getting flashbacks to preseason and an ace match where he did almost the same thing, and so he's going to fall all the way down to the 4th place. And now KWANGDONGFREECS in a much better position here. Cool, if he can retain rank number 1, he has a very good shot at delivering enough points for KDF to reinforce the rear. And Byung-Soo, it is so important that he stops that. He goes through the spin turn, controls it really well, able to pass Cool.
Byung-Soo, that was so sick. He actually pulled it off perfectly, comes out of it with a nitro, and now he's got first place here. Might win it for Liiv SANDBOX, but he misses the jump. He misses the jump, and KWANGDONGFREECS will take it. Oh, from hero to 0 on that one. Perfect turn into the nitro, takes first, and the chuckles coming through on the KWANGDONG side because he had that one all locked up. But just a poor final jump there, hits the wall. And I mean, that is about as big of a dichotomy as it gets in terms of incredible performance to a bit of a belly flop there at the end.
Yeah, you can see KDF laughing a little bit to themselves. They knew they were dead to rights coming down that final stretch. But final at the end, with a little bit of luck, able to convert the win. And so now the best of 7 turns into a best of 5. Both these teams only need to win 3 tracks to secure speed mode. Liiv SANDBOX showing great play out of the gates, both in track 1 and track 2. Can they keep it up?
That's a good question. I really like Miami Drive for Liiv SANDBOX. It's their 2nd track pick here. Neil, so great at overtaking on tracks like this. The winner of this one is going to take the lead. Let's jump into track 3. Off we go, tied up 1-1, but as mentioned, Liiv SANDBOX really should have had that one in the bag. Should be a 2-0 start, but that's the drama of Cartwriter. And as we head into this one, once again, KWANGDONGFREECS, they have World in first. It's not Sungbin this time around, but having that front runner that's being overtaken by numbers here of Liiv SANDBOX, Jimin takes this outer.
Yeah, actually, Liiv SANDBOX with a 3v2 right there, coming into the pole positions, had an opportunity to go for a couple of different angles, one on the inner, one on the outer, weren't able to actually take and breach that 2nd rank position, but now Jimin with some nice driving, actually coming into that really tight turn. We barely caught the top of that, but Jimin able to work his way into 1st place.
Yeah, and his 1st place is what keeps Liiv SANDBOX in the lead, but as he loses it, you can see KWANGDONGFREECS will jump up to 23, and now the 1-2 win condition is real here. They have to find an angle. Hyunsoo here trying to take that inner, but not getting the momentum he needs. Jimin might have to do some blocking here, actually, for Spear, the king of sweeping himself, but he decides to just draft off of World safely instead.
Yeah, Jimin doing a good job of preventing the 1-2 from coming through right now, but my eyes are on Neil and Byung-Soo in 7th and 8th rank. They need to work their way up because it's not going to be enough just to break up the 1-2. Liiv SANDBOX desperately needs to reinforce their ranks, but right now they're kind of falling apart here on Miami Drive. Their lead racer's only in 4th position.
Yeah, it looks like Byung-Soo actually missed the jump and had to take that outer line there, missed the boost entirely, so he loses a ton of momentum here. Does have that extra nitro he can now try to use to break through as Jimin once again cracks top 3. But World and Spear are just so far ahead, and Sungbin is not normally the sweeper, but he's doing a good job of it right now.
I mean, the Freaks have shown time and time again that they can play all roles when the need arises, and so some fantastic sweeping coming out of Sungbin, a player that we often think of as, you know, a speed ace or a runner. coming through, but able to deliver the 1-2 finish here for the Freaks as their game plan from, I want to say, like the second half of lap number 1 was so clean. They identified they had the 1-2 possibility, and the sweeping came in from some unexpected characters, but it was spectacular. That lead at the end was substantial from second place to third place, so Kwangdong Freeks now feeling very confident.
Our most one-sided track for sure of the 3 so far. Saw Neil on camera, his face was, you know, he almost looked like the Scream, that famous portrait he has. He did not look super happy. It looked like he was being extremely vocal, mouth wide open after that one, but gonna need to see a bounce back here in a big way, or it may just be the momentum is too much here. That was Liiv SANDBOX track selection, one of their best, and they just came up big time short on that one.
Yeah, Kwangdong Freeks now only needing 2 more track wins to secure the best of 7 here in speed mode. Liiv SANDBOX gonna try their best to fight back here on Desert Construction Chaos and tie this series up 2-2. KDF on the heels of their best track performance yet in this best of 7. Looking to be off to a great start, but once again, Liiv SANDBOX not really coming out too weak from the gates. Byungsu in a really good position there in first place. If Byungsu can try and reinforce him as he starts to take that inner, this is looking really good for LSB.
It really is. Midfield control goes to Kwangdong though, and World is actually trying to aggressively look for some collisions here to take some of that momentum away. And this track can be so difficult to pilot actually from behind. This first lap is really, really important as World tries to tackle his way through, actually taking a bit of a safer line here. Doesn't want to collide with his teammates, but look at that block from Hyunsu.
Yeah, Hyunsu, despite being in second position, is playing a little bit of a sweeper role right now, and I love that position from him, considering that Neil and Jimin right out of the gates did not have the best start. Hyunsu just keeps delivering these body checks on all these turns. This is something that you can do quite well on this because they're so tight and they're all 90 degrees. So Hyunsu just really weakening KDF. Spear finally able to pass him, but that did give an opportunity for Neil and Jimin to start to close the distance.
Look at that jump from Hyunsu too. He knows the lines on this track so incredibly well. And he's basically just saying, you want to take the best line? Then you're going to have to go through me. Otherwise, you have to take a slower line. Either way, Byungsu gets a larger distance here. And Liiv SANDBOX still in the lead with those additional points from Byungsu in first, but they need to hold that first, or Liiv SANDBOX is going to lose this lead.
I mean, the sweeping from Hyunsu has been so good thus far. Only just now is Sungmin finally able to pass him, but look at the midfield. It's 4-5-6 for Liiv SANDBOX. If Byungsu can hold on to rank 1, this is going to be a win for LSB, and so Spear is going to have to take the really tight lines here, maybe get a little bit greedy in terms of him. See him go for that really tight hitter that closes a couple of meters between him and Byungsu, and with a draft, there is a chance for him to pass.
Yeah, he's driving out of his mind. He gets that draft, and misses this corner here. I mean, this is neck and neck right now.
Oh! Catastrophic collision there for Byungsu on the corner. He is going to pass the baton here onto Hyunsu, but it might be a little bit too much damage when we close down the track.
It's going to be close, 400 meters to go. Liiv SANDBOX in the lead. Spear in first, not enough. They need Sungmin to actually get the double pass here. I don't think it's going to happen. The attempted block.
Unbelievable! They're finally able to get that last point to convert it. That was so close to being a Liiv SANDBOX win.
Look at his hand shaking as well. He's drinking his water. His hand is shaking because he knows how close that was.
Man, Kwangdong Freeks, they are getting away with some really close wins in this series. They're thinking back to track number 2, now track number 4, and even this handshake right now is like about as timid as it gets after a victory on a track like that one.
Yeah.
As KDF, they know that they were so close to getting knocked out.
Yeah, Sungmin also so close to Byungsu here as well. I mean, some of these finishes are as close as it gets, but now it's match point here for speed. For Kwangdong Freeks, they steal, it feels, 2 of these away in the most unlikely scenarios. Liiv SANDBOX cannot be happy with this because a win in speed gives them such an edge because they are the better item team. Everyone is saying this. We'll see if they can take that upset win here on speed. Could be the last track we see. Glacier Extreme Stadium for Kwangdong to try to close it out. Kwangdong Freeks just need one more win to take speed here. Liiv SANDBOX, on the other hand here, the better win rate on this track. And the start here It's arguably better for Liiv SANDBOX in some ways here. We'll see if Spear can actually get into sweeper position because he's dropped back so much that yes, 1 and 2 held by World and Sungbi, but this is not a track where you can actually just hold those easily. There's so many pass opportunities, but Neil, he's gonna make me eat my words on this one. And now Spear does secure that sweeping spot, and this is the setup for Kwangdong. World and Sungbin first and second, Spear in third. It doesn't get better than this.
No, it does not get better than this. Now, it is a 3v1, so Spear cannot block everybody out, but man, Neil really kicking himself. He's even worked his way back into third place after that kind of catastrophic, oh my goodness, he collides again on the hairpin turn. He hits the bumper, and as a result, Neil, after working his way back from that first collision, is now back into 8th place. And so for Liiv SANDBOX, there is so much pressure on the Su duo. Hyunsu and Byungsu, they need to break these ranks. They got to stop the 1-2, but the lead, it's growing here for KDF.
You don't normally see a lap 2, 1-2-4 setup like this unless it's one team is just way better than the other one, massively. And that's not what we're seeing today, but with 2 critical mistakes from Neil and some good threatening there by Spear that forced that error. I mean, Hyunsu's racing against the whole team by himself. Now, Byungsu does join for a moment here, but Spear's going to threaten Hyunsu, and that lead that World and Sungbin have right now just continues to compound. Okay, opportunity here for Byungsu. See if he can pass Spear, and he gets it.
Yeah, Spear able to get past. Oh my goodness, takes that home dinner line. That was a really aggressive attempt to block Hyunsu and Byungsu there. Did not convert it to a win, but I mean, 1-2, it is a win condition. I think he might have done enough because World and Sungbin are absolutely running away with this one.
Yeah, great attempt there from Byungsu there, but it's not enough. Kwangdong will take it. And I mean, they had a great turnaround there. They got past Spear, but as you mentioned, once you have that much momentum, Spear did all the heavy lifting. All they have to do is hit those lines for free, not collide with each other. They're teammates after all. And they're gonna take it 4-1. Now, the result 4-1 itself is not unexpected, but how close 2 of those tracks were really was. I mean, we could be going into a 7th track right now, 3-3, if those other 2 tracks went Liiv SANDBOX's way, as World actually with that sweeping will take the new track record here, 0.4 faster nearly there than the previous one. So that just shows how dominant it was and how good the sweeping was, but could have been a different story, State. We could have been going to a 7th race here. I really feel that is absolutely a possibility.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. Track number 2 and track number 4, I think are going to haunt Liiv SANDBOX a little bit, as this could easily have been a 2-3 lead for Liiv SANDBOX heading into a track number 6, but instead, KDF with a clean 4-1 just played absolutely out of their minds, and you can see Neil, he's kicking himself a little bit with this one. He usually doesn't show that much emotion on stage. He's usually calm, cool, and collected, but you can kind of see him just doing a little bit of introspection because he is the speed guy. He's the guy that you swap out to bring Dalda in here in item mode, and he wasn't able to deliver. He underperformed, and he knows it too.
Yeah. Usually you see some of Neil's emotions through his racing and through his lines, but you usually don't see it on his face. I completely agree with you, but coming in today, he had that really strong look on his face, almost angry on the walkout. Then he had that reaction after the track went to KWANGDONGFREECS that they had in their hands. Looked a little bit annoyed, to be honest, but now we're moving into item here. This is where KWANGDONGFREECS actually have priority. They chose it off the coin toss. They chose Cemetery Circuit, Gondola Tour, London Night, which was the big surprise for me, and then Glacier Polar Halfpipe. So 2 timing-based tracks here in London Night and Polar Halfpipe. Cemetery Circuit and Gondola Tour, though, a little bit more tempo-based here, whereas all the tracks here for Liiv SANDBOX can be played mostly in the tempo style. That's definitely the way they're going to try to go about it. I favor Liiv SANDBOX still, but the emotions definitely do favor KWANGDONGFREECS. They stole those tracks away. Momentum is on their side. We're going to see if they can carry it forward here on Graveyard Cemetery Circuit.
We kick off this best of 7 in item mode here on Graveyard Cemetery Circuit. KWANGDONGFREECS with the map selection after winning speed. Liiv SANDBOX, they're fighting for their life right now. If they lose this best of 7, they are falling to the losers bracket finals, get one more chance to make it into the grand finals. The KWANGDONGFREECS are only 1 series away from yet another grand finals experience.
Yeah, that siren usage there, pretty nice to start things off. World is battling with Dalda here up in the front. Neither team really having a strong item advantage. G-Min does have the magnet. We know what he's capable of with this this pick, but he doesn't have the setup with his cart to use it the same way as Dalda has with his build. So we'll see what ends up happening. Spear just going to use his for tempo here. Nice usage there. Actually, unfortunately, gets hit by that bomb. If he didn't, that would have been huge, the lead he got off of using that for a shortcut.
Yeah, Kensu not able to pop the shield and avoid that water balloon, so we'll lose a little bit of tempo as he gets caught again. Man, the water balloons coming out by Cool have been so effective thus far as we once again go through this section. Now on lap number 2, that banana
So
barely
close.
dodged there by Cool. And actually, oh man, Dalda almost spinning out. That's one of the dangers when you have this balloon behind you, where if you convert the rocket into the banana effect, sometimes on these turns, you can fall off the track.
Yeah, it's really huge because there's a few jumps here as well, and if you spin off the track or get knocked off the track, it's rough. World's going to get another sweep here with this Siren, but will they be punished with the follow-up water balloon? And Sungbin's starting to build up a decent lead here. You know, I mean, he's got 2 teammates to block for him. There's 2 Angels here, and KWANGDONGFREECS in a really nice spot here because Spear can actually create some, you know, absorption here of the aggression. Sungbin's got a shield as well.
Yeah, I mean, the double angel shield here for Spear is just so critical, especially for Sungbin. First one pops. Jimin is holding onto a Thunderbolt. He's gonna be hoping that he can do it, but I'm not sure it's gonna be able to connect as that completely stops the lightning from coming through. Sungbin still in first place. Byungsu behind him. He hits a banana, so he spins out, and out KDF in a dominating position. I don't know if Liiv SANDBOX will be able to stop this lead.
I don't think so. I just don't see it. The lead is too big. Byungsu only has a shield, no aggressive item here. They don't have a UFO. They don't have anything. Dalda trying to boost his way forward here. What does he get? A water bomb. That's not going to be enough.
No, Sungbin taking the outer line is to be able to avoid those water balloons, no problem. And KDF with a really solid opening statement here in item mode. They showed a lot of confidence after winning the coin toss to choose item mode as a priority. I think it was the smart thing to do given how favored they are here in speed.
Yeah.
It's always the threat to lose item against Liiv SANDBOX, but now with a 1-0 lead, they look very good.
They also, you know, prayed for Angels, and they got them. I mean, they got a
two.
lot of Angels that round, and one of them was used to keep Sungbin actually safe over that jump. I really appreciated that because he ran out of shields, and the timing in which he could have been hit by that Wisp actually would have put him potentially off the track, and that would have ended their opportunities to have him in that first place spot. Using an Angel for one individual player like that is the power of having those stacked up like they did.
Man, what a play there. What a great opening statement from the Freaks as they look to potentially close this one out. Only 3 track wins away here in item mode from booking yet another ticket to the grand finals. Let's see if they can keep the momentum going here on Graveyard Dark Castle.
Liiv SANDBOX lagging behind here already in a section of this series that they should be favored in. KWANGDONGFREECS stole speed away. Now Liiv SANDBOX down a track here. See if they can change their fate.
Liiv SANDBOX right out of the gates taking quite a bit of damage here from these early aggressive options the Freaks have. Cool, barely skirting around that water balloon, playing it very nicely as KDF continues to kind of work with this tempo meta. Byungsu isn't able to work his way in. He does have a magnet, so he can use that to gain some momentum off Cool or Sungbin should he choose to, or World, excuse me. But World, thus far, he's not really taking any damage. That water balloon finally going to catch him, but I feel like that was 4 or 5 different attacks coming in from LSB that were not able to connect.
Yeah, they definitely had to use a lot of their ammunition on him, and he almost avoided that bomb around the corner there. His angle was pretty good, but they predicted it. Picked up that last shield. That was Hyunsu in first, but I mean, he's got Cool and Sungbin kind of barreling towards him right now. Dalda also spinning out here, so momentum in Hyunsu's favor, but only briefly, it looks like here, as he will be able to shield that Wisp, but another one comes towards him, will lock him down.
And Cool has been so good at avoiding these water balloons on these tight 90-degree turns. It's almost like he's taking an inner line that barely doesn't clip him, as that's allowed him to gain a lot of momentum here. Continue to move forward, slows down to make sure he gets the double pick up there on the items. One of those attacks going to come through there onto Hyunsu, who did not pop his shield for it. And now it's Sungbin and Cool in the lead.
Yeah, Hyunsu gonna grab a rocket here. Blocks the Wisp with his shield, but another bomb comes through.
The attacks have just been so solid from KDF from lap number 1, I think, but the tempo, not that bad here for LSB.
Yeah, I mean, looking at Byungsu having this EMP, it's not going to be too useful. He cycles it out here. They have a lot of players up here right now, so if they can kind of stagger some of these attacks and swap first place off and keep avoiding like this, I mean, it could be huge. Yeah, G-Min's UFO'd, but then Dalda could just push forward into first. Magnet could come out. But Sungbin here, getting us some extra momentum now. He's got a magnet, actually, in his inventory, so this could be how they finish the race. Nice pick up there on the shield.
Jimin comes in, he's getting magneted back, avoids the water balloon, and it's going to be an easy conversion there for the former Item Ace, now hybrid player here for Liiv SANDBOX as KDF. They just did not have enough ammunition to deal with all of the bodies there for Liiv SANDBOX.
You just never know when Jimin's going to sneak around the corner, you know, with these types of plays. He's just so good at it, and that's why Liiv SANDBOX, with essentially 2 Item Aces, as we've been saying, are so tough to deal with because it looked locked up for Kwangdong. They had that extra push through with the magnet. They had a shield there to come through, avoided that one water bomb, but the Jimin just is able to skirt his way around. He knows the exact angle to take. One of the best magnet users in the game, and now they're tied up, and finally some hope here for Liiv SANDBOX. So it's felt like a very one-sided series in terms of results otherwise.
Yeah, and I mean, that track was looking so good for KDF for so long. I'm feeling more confident now in LSB. They were really quietly playing a great tempo game that we didn't get to see the fruits of until the final section of the final lap. And that's what it matters most. I mean, in item mode, it's not about getting a 1-2. It's not about a 2-3-4. It's about who finishes first. Let's see if LSB can finish first again here on track number 3, World Tour Venice Gondola Tour. The streets of Venice we go. LSB tying this one up there in track number 2 for item mode.
Here we go, Jimin actually pulling ahead here. We'll get hit by this early UFO and then picks up an EMP. We'll use it promptly there. And now, you know, it's kind of an open field here. Gondola gets a little bit weird in terms of how item mode works because it has quite open spaces and then some narrow spaces as well. Narrow ones for it being towards the beginning of the track here. So now it's just going to be kind of an item free-for-all here, as everyone's going to try to take this boost shortcut. It's going to be a scary place to get hit by something in there and you're off the track.
Yeah. I mean, most of these players, if not all of them, usually have that balloon that turns the rocket into a banana effect. And if you go on turns like that one, trying to take the shortcut, if you do not have a shield and your opponent has a missile, it can be one of those perfect storms. It just takes all of the momentum away from you. But we'll see if that happens in lap number 2. Is Dalda right now building a pretty sizable lead, especially with these attacks coming in on Spear. He does not have a lot of momentum. Another missile actually going to slow him down again. And right now, look at the minimap. That tiny blue dot that you see in the distance, I feel like you need the Hubble telescope to see where Dalda is.
Yeah.
He is so far ahead with double shield, and there's not a single UFO on the board right now for the Freaks.
Yeah, he's going to be able to be protected, obviously, by Gondola here for a moment. And then...
Oh, what a water balloon!
That is massive.
Oh, my goodness!
The double hit. And if you actually aim that correctly, you can interrupt that, but it's so rare. You normally feel super safe going into Gondola, but I mean, the lead now is insane, and he's got teammates to help block from him. Hyunsu is just going to sit here and continue to attack Cool's the closest racer, and I say that very liberally. I mean, it's not very close.
Yeah.
Dalda actually continue to push ahead, and they can just keep tossing these items through now. Let's see how much longer Dalda can hold this. I mean, double UFO coming through.
Yeah, finally does get abducted. He had an EMP for a long time, but Dalda, he took so much aggro from KDF. It might be enough. We'll see if there's an actual ending play here for LSB. Byungsu does get abducted by the water balloon.
Double shield.
Now double shield here for Dalda, able to parry. That one attack goes through the barricade, and LSB wins their second track in a row here in item mode. Dalda, the tempo play was so solid, it got a little bit scary there when KDF closed the distance, but they had just enough. I mean,
The
all
double
of that
shield.
ammunition and the double shield.
Yeah, the double shield pickup was huge. I mean, the UFO came through as well. If there were even 50 meters of track left beyond when he crossed the checkered flag, I mean, it might have been that he actually doesn't win it, but they lock it down. And oftentimes, I feel like during regular season, as we had a big changes going to item mode here in our first season of KDL, it felt like a bad meta read was often the determining factor in a series like this, but these games have been close, super back and forth, both teams playing tempo style, constantly trying to cycle their items correctly. I mean, item mode doesn't really get closer than this, and we have a best of 7 of it on our hands. Liiv SANDBOX pulling ahead. They need this win to force the ace match. Otherwise, it's Kwangdong going to another finals.
We'll see if LSB can keep the momentum going. They've won 2 tracks in a row. Can they win the 3rd one on their map of choice? Mine Motherload, round 4, item mode. Let's get to it.
Liiv SANDBOX taking the lead here, but anything can happen in item mode. Dalda gonna hang back, and unfortunately only gets the one. Will be the Nitro he picks up.
And not getting both items there. A little bit sad for him, but in a 3-lap track like this, probably not going to be the determining factor as we continue to work our way through this mine section. Everyone's taking this shortcut quite nicely. Youngsu with a little bit of a lead for now, but we'll see how long he's able to hold on to it. He only does have that one shield.
Dalda actually going to eat a lot of aggro here, but took that upper ground very nicely there. It took such a large amount of momentum that even with those attacks, he is going to maintain first place. He has a magnet himself in his inventory now. And
see him hit the brakes and try to avoid the water balloon, but couldn't do it.
Dalda with a magnet is one of the scariest things you can see, but unfortunately not as scary on lap 1.
World falling a little bit behind there. KDF actually holding on to a lot of water balloons, so we'll see if they're able to find some big damage with this one. They have to wait and see. Youngsu able to avoid the first one. Actually, an Angel Shield popping right there for Team Liiv SANDBOX as they have 2 more in the bank. So just playing this one as conservatively as they get. Really nice draws for them so far on this 3-star track.
Yeah, even a scanner getting picked up there and cycling through. Not going to be too useful here, but Spear does have this UFO, and it looks like he's going to toss it out here pretty soon. Dalda holding double shield at the moment.
I'm feeling really good for LSB.
Yeah.
Dalda and Hyunsu, among them have 3 shields. LSB, beyond that, has 2 Angel Shields additionally. So the amount of defense that they have in the front playing this tempo play is so solid. Look at the mini-map right now in the bottom right corner. They are getting so much distance away. Really, the only thing that can slow them down right now are UFOs, and KDF, they haven't lucked into any of them recently.
Yeah, let's see. World not going to get one either, just a wisp here. At least he can pass Youngsu before tossing that one out, but the shields are just stacked up here. See if Youngsu gets another one here on this next item box. Look at the picture. I mean, they're like half a lap ahead. I mean, not quite. It's about a 4th, but still they're 4th ahead. And Dalda was still holding on to 2 shields because no one can attack him.
Oh, that
why does he ever even have to use a shield? And Hyunsu's now got an EMP. Seungmin just going to try to use a magnet to close that gap, but I just don't see it happening. State, 500 meters to go. They got nothing.
They can't even pass Hyunsu, I think. Dalda is going to ride this one easily to the finish line, spins into it for style points, taking that rocket to the rear. And LSB now have won 3 tracks in a row here in this best of 7. It was looking scary after they dropped track number 1, but they are on match point. I mean, 1 more win, and we are going to an ace match.
We're so close to that parity of 4-1 for each of these teams on the mode that they are stronger at, right? We knew that KWANGDONG was better in speed. They take it 4-1, closer than expected. Maybe now Liiv SANDBOX does the same thing, and we reach this perfect parity. We will have to wait and see, but man, that was such a clean performance from Dalda, taking that high ground, getting ahead early, and the whole team playing around him, giving him that buffer. And yeah, sure, they lucked into those Angels, but that I think wasn't even really the determining factor. They just constantly had that protection. They held the choke point as well. They let Dalda push forward, and they kind of stayed back, stayed in the attack range, and wasted all of that, the tools that KWANGDONG had. And it was a good strategy once again here from Liiv SANDBOX.
Yeah, and additionally, the Sirens were so clutch there in that final wrap, just able to sap all of the momentum away from the Freaks. And so here we go on to World Tour London night. Match point, Liiv SANDBOX. Can they finally force that ace match? LSB 1 track win away from the ace. They haven't gone to an ace match once this entire season, and now here in the upper bracket finals against KDF, they would love to force one out.
Yeah, now this is the selection here. Look at 50% to 40% here, but those stats I feel like don't tell the tale of how good Liiv SANDBOX is at that timing-based style that has fallen off quite a bit. It's just crazy action here on the drawbridge. But I heavily favor Liiv SANDBOX on this track. KWANGDONG picked into it though, didn't ban it. Let's see if that comes back to bite them here, or if they can prove me wrong, because this is the one that you look at Jimin, what he did in preseason 1 on this track, what Dalda did in preseason 2 on this track. Very, very scary as Jimin actually just going to hold on to these attack items, not cycle, and try to take that faster line. So when he gets past, he can just cycle them into his opponents.
Yeah, and LSB, we didn't touch on it, but there in lap number 1, when everyone was going up that ramp, we're able to convert so many different attacks that kind of slow down the momentum for KDF. So personally, I'm surprised that Spear, World, and Cool have been able to close the distance as much as they have, as some water wisps now coming out. That water balloon actually not able to connect there with World. Oh, this Thunderbolt is fantastic. Slows down so much momentum there on the
yeah,
with the uphill? I don't know why I couldn't.
Yeah, a little drawbridge thing. Yeah, but I mean, they had 3 Angels. So the Thunderbolt pickup isn't that great here when there's 3 Angels. Now they have 2 still. Sungmin actually holding on to 2 shields, will drop 1 now. They even have an EMP for him. So Liiv SANDBOX, all they picked up really was that lightning. So once again, we're gonna have to see Jimin or Hyunsu, really the 2 magnet holders here, find that timing. Otherwise, this is looking pretty good for KWANGDONGFREECS in terms of tempo.
You say that, but I don't think this one is going to come down to the attacks right there at the end. I think it's more about the magnets, it's more about the nitrous, and so Liiv SANDBOX right now, Hyunsu in 4th, 5th place, he's getting pretty close. He has both the magnet and the nitrous, as does Jimin. So coming down the stretch here, LSB with a couple of potential plays. They don't have the attacks, but they do have the speed.
Here we go. I mean, EMP is ready here. Also, World got the shield here. The magnet, is it enough? It's not. It's not enough, and World is going to bring it in. KWANGDONGFREECS will not be 4-1. They're going to take a second one on the board here, and the series continues. And even though they had that timing with the magnet there, World with the shields meant that no one else could hit him. He had enough distance there to boost around that corner and take it out. It was close, but not close enough. And, you know, you had the right tools, you had the magnets, but you didn't have them in the right position as Liiv SANDBOX, unfortunately. And Jimin and Hyunsu come up a little bit short.
Both of them about 1/3 of a second behind World. It was so close there at the end. Oftentimes in item mode, it's not that close at the finish line, especially on a track like that one, but the magnets and the nitrous, not enough to convert the win for LSB, but it's not over yet. They have 2 more chances to force that ace match. Can they do it?
That is the question. We're going to Forest Mushroom Caves. This is about as tempo as it gets, and that's how most of this series has looked. We'll find out if they're going to tie it up here as we move into our 6th track. Round 6 is underway here. Liiv SANDBOX still on match point to bring us to an ace match, but a little bit of momentum back in KWANGDONGFREECS' court now here with that last win.
Yeah, it's getting closer, coming down to the wire. Liiv SANDBOX with 2 more chances, hopefully able to convert one of them. I think all of the fans, and myself included, want to see an ace match between these 2 titans of the KDL, but thus far here, pretty good start for KDF. World right now in 1st place with double EMP. Should be able to absorb a lot of damage coming in from Liiv SANDBOX should they pick up those UFOs. I like Spear right behind him as well. Not looking too bad.
That Angel timing a little bit, leave a little bit to be desired there though. So just timed it, and that's an Angel down on this 2-lapper. Would have loved to hold on to that one, but fortunately missed it there as he wanted to hold that tempo. Cool absorbs this one. Dalda does not have the shield for this.
Yeah, a little bit unlucky right there with the positioning. That water balloon was perfectly placed. And so now Spear in 1st place. Double shield on him as KDF has 3 racers.
Yeah,
near the pole position.
Okay, that barricade actually really puts a damper on everything you just said, though. Unfortunately, Spear does have 2 shields, but man, they had such a nice position. It's still not bad for them, especially because Spear does have shields here to absorb these next 2 attacks as he does. It's a 2-lap track here, though. The number of racers they have makes it very difficult for Hyunsu to actually do anything alone.
It was so important that they were able to convert that water balloon right there with the Thunderbolt coming in and then getting parried by the Angel Shield is not enough. So KWANGDONGFREECS right now in a really commanding position. I don't know if LSB has enough attacks to actually stop this.
Dalda has a magnet. He's got the magnet rush combo. Can he actually pull this off? He's stopped. He's stopped in his tracks there. What does he pick up? A rocket? But no.
The water balloon is so clutch. Oh my goodness, the follow-up water balloon as well from World caught 3 racers, and that's going to allow Sungbin to bring us all the way to a track number 7. It was looking so good for Liiv SANDBOX, but now KDF themselves are 1 map win away from going to that grand finals.
Going all the way to 7, all the way to Glacier Polar Halfpipe. Now, this is a Liiv SANDBOX type track, even though KWANGDONG picked London Knight and they picked Polar Halfpipe here. This is where players like Dalda shine. This is where players like Banana shine, you know, where the item ace knows those timings so incredibly well. Can be the difference maker here, but it's down to this one last track here for Liiv SANDBOX, and I feel like if just a few things had gone more right for them, wouldn't be saying it like this, but a 2-0 win would not tell the story of this series. I predicted an ace match. I still want to see it. I want to see Liiv SANDBOX come out strong on this final track, but if they come up short here, that's it. You're dropping down to losers.
So close to the end here. One of these teams will be advancing to the grand finals. Will Liiv SANDBOX fight in the ace match with a track win here? Or will the Freaks close it out and book their ticket to yet another finals? Let's see. Track number 7, item round 7, Glacier Polar Half-Pipe. It all comes down to this for both these teams. Over the course of the entire regular season, neither the Freaks nor Liiv SANDBOX were able to pick up a win on this track, but they will be winning one of these.
They will be winning one of these, that is for sure. A lot of UFOs here in the beginning of this first lap. No one going to be able to take this high ground here. Oh, Nitro comes out, actually cool. Will be able to get up onto that, so that's going to give him some extra safe momentum here. See how much of a lead he can build with that. World also here to block for him. UFO takes a lot of the wind out of his sails, though.
Yeah, I'm liking the tempo here for Cool and World, able to take that shortcut early on, and now they're in a pretty sizable lead considering this is Polar Half-Pipe. It's not really a track that you often see a lot of tempo play on, but the attacks have been so good, specifically the Water Wisps coming out from KWANGDONG And look, they have a lot more in the bag too. World actually holding on to 2 of them, so should somebody pass him from Liiv SANDBOX, he is going to fight back hard.
Yeah, Byung-Soo with too much speed there to avoid his teammate's water balloon there. Unfortunately, with the magnet out, Jimin does escape here and get onto this jump. I'm not sure. Yeah, he did get onto the high ground, just barely there. But he's closed the gap quite substantially, but Cool does have these 2 shields. Let's see what he picks up here.
Cole decides not to, oh man, double rocket to eat the double shield. I actually tried to double them up, but wasn't quite able to do it. Cool able to pop a shield to parry both of those. Water Wisp does catch him before he picks up 2 more shields from those items. That's really nice. And now Liiv SANDBOX with 2 players in the lead entering lap number 3.
Yeah, you know, the type of play that they were looking for just is so hard to pull up on this track. KWANGDONGFREECS, they've lost a lot of that momentum now. Magnet coming out from World, he's going to boost his way into first, grabs a shield here as well. 2 Wisps, so they need something more. Liiv SANDBOX needs something more to secure this. Magnet is in Dalda's hands right now, but he's in 8th place. He's not really in position to actually look for that rush combo. Uses it early.
Sungmin took the shortcut. He's out there on the high ground.
Oh, he
Water
avoids
balloon avoids. But the UFO's going to slow him down a ton. He gets 1 shield, pops that immediately. He does have a banana as well. He puts that on the tighter line, so Byung-Soo going to have to take a slightly wider one. And Sungmin able to parry another UFO. I think KWANGDONGFREECS have done it.
They have done it. KWANGDONGFREECS are going to take the series 2-0. Everyone else is playing Kart Rider. Sungmin's playing dodgeball on the rest of that final lap. He is avoiding every single thing that was thrown at him. Came off the jump, the high ground that he takes there, drops down, avoids 2 water balloons there, has the EMP clutch at the last possible second. Lightning was coming out, it wasn't enough to stop this man, and he ends up taking it in a pretty significant fashion. He was pretty far ahead from everybody else, and KWANGDONGFREECS, they were at 1 win to 3 and near reverse sweep in item mode here. They were the underdogs in item as well, but there is not going to be an ace match still today here for Liiv SANDBOX, who will fall 4-3 here.
Man, what a painful loss there for Liiv SANDBOX.
They logged in to the finals.
Love that sign from him, but for LSB, my heart is kind of breaking. They were so close. 1 track went away for so long from finally beating their arch nemesis, their arch rival, the Freaks, and going in as the higher seed into the grand finals, but instead it will be the Freaks again. And at this point, we have to start asking ourselves, you know, preseason 1, preseason 2, now here in the regular season, can anyone stop the Freaks?
It's a tough question. I mean, if Liiv SANDBOX can't do it, can Mirai and Sejong do it? Will Mirai and Sejong even beat Liiv SANDBOX to get here? Is there an underdog run that we're going to see? You know, is it going to be ROX who could do it with their prowess in item mode? It's tough to say because KWANGDONGFREECS really showcased a strong item performance today, even as underdogs in that mode against Liiv SANDBOX. Against a lot of other teams, I would not say that, but you know, this team does look unstoppable right now. I think a lot of preparation is going to have to go into taking this team out, but that's the other advantage they have, is they get to now just sit in the grand finals, not worry about preparation, or not worry about another team. They can prep for and watch the other teams play. Whereas if you're Liiv SANDBOX, you drop down to losers, you have to watch Mirai and Sejong. Are they going to win that next match? Is ROX going to win it? You're preparing for 2 different opponents, so when you're done with that, then you have to prepare for KWANGDONGFREECS. So KWANGDONG just has all these extra edges, and that's what you get when you win the upper bracket finals. That's the advantage that you have.
Yeah, and I think also their confidence in their speed abilities gives them a lot of leverage coming into the finals of the postseason bracket as KDF, they are now seeded into that December 9th final. Liiv SANDBOX, as you see on screen, fall to the lower bracket finals where they will face either ROX Esports or Mutian Sage on. The winner of that will advance to play KDF in the grand finals at the very end. And man, it has been a crazy road for these teams, but you know, it was the story in KDL preseason 1 and preseason 2, and I would not be surprised again if we had Liiv SANDBOX emerge victorious from that lower bracket finals to meet KDF in the grand finals once more. But at this point, it feels like no one can hold a candle to KDF in speed. And I think KDF, they know that, they recognize that fact, because coming into today, they seemed so well prepared for item mode. It was looking really scary when they were down 3-1, but they kept their cool, able to go with almost a reverse sweep to win that series 4-3, just showing so much tenacity.
Yeah, they really did, and they chose item mode with their win in the coin toss. They had that advantage going in. So they knew, okay, speed, I don't care if you have that extra track selection. Doesn't bother me. It's not going to matter. We're going to win it anyways. They did, and there were a few close calls, to be fair. Credit where it's due to Liiv SANDBOX, but they also kind of tripped over themselves there at the end. That loss with Byung-Soo there where he hit the mountain at the end was on the final jump was really the most tragic. But they did it twice as well. It wasn't like that was the one determining factor. There were two such races like that.
I mean, Neil,
yeah.
He clipped the wall, I think, twice.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, on Glacier Extreme Stadium, and really just had a rough go of things. So Liiv SANDBOX, I think you just kind of take this one to the cheek. Besides those two tracks and speed, you looked really solid in item mode. You brought it all the way to map number 7. I think if they do make it to the grand finals, they have a chance in what feels like at this point a David versus Goliath story, but it really shouldn't be one considering how good both of these teams are. But man, this postseason, it's really heating up.
It really is, and I think Liiv SANDBOX can use this time to try to improve and try to grow and change, but right now it just looks like there's something missing for this team. They're good at everything, but they're not great like we have seen from the KWANGDONG But we're not done for today. We will, of course, have our losers match for the round of 16 after a short break, so don't go anywhere. We'll see you guys in just a few.
Prove it, I'm ready to do it, I can't be afraid now. Put me on the stage now, I'm ready to rage now. I feel like an animal stuck in a cage and I'm ready to break out. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. This time, like the last time, you better get ready to race to the top. Ready to do this, show you what the truth is. I step on the field, it's time to get real. I'm feeling so ruthless. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Yeah. So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made of. Get in the game, your moment of fame, show them what you made of. It's time that we stand up. It's time that we man up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up. My time. Nothing can keep me from reaching the top. This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride. I'm ready to throw down. It's time for the showdown. I'm ready to rise. Don't be surprised, I'll take on the world now. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. We're reaching the top. We're reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. My time.